Hi everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Thursday night and every other Thursday night I jump on and share a technique with you. And the alternating Thursday I do a mystery challenge. So tonight I thought I would bring out my watercolor pencils. It's been a while since I've played with watercolor pencils, but we have in the celebration brochure the perfect stamp set for watercolor pencils. At least I think so. It's called In the Country. Actually, there's another one in celebration. If you put an order in for $375 Canadian, you can get the Scenic Garden stamp set, and it's also a great one for watercolor pencils. But I'm going to use In the Country. Haven't used this yet. So I'm pulling out my watercolor pencils, my watercolor paper, and we'll see what we can create. So I'm going to switch over to my desktop and we'll get started. All right, so this is the In the Country stamp set. So there are two different stamps. I'm using this one with the path and the fence. This is really pretty too with the stairs. I've seen this one done in kind of, don't know if it's in early espresso or how it's done, but it's a single color. It's just done, it's so pretty. Hey, oh, hey, Nancy. Hey, Wendy. Yeah, I love this stamp set too. I just haven't used it. I saw it being used at Onstage in November by one of the by Kevin Lund. He's not a DDM. He's not a demonstrator development manager. He's kind of one up from there. But anyway, he did some stamping with this, and it was really fun to see that. Okay, so that's what I'm going to use. What else have I pulled out for tonight's card? I've pulled out Pool Party, and this paper is from I think it's the Adventurous Journey. It's got these really pretty, what look like kind of abstract trees, but this side has got different greens and even what looks to me like Pool Party. So that's kind of what I've kind of done. I decided it would brighten the card up. Also got Mossy Meadow. So I'm going to have a layer of Mossy Meadow, a layer of the Designer Series paper, just a peekaboo of the Mossy Meadow. And then I've got a piece of watercolor paper, hey Darlene, that I've cut out using one of the deckled rectangle dies. That's what I'm going to stamp on color on. And then another piece of Mossy Meadow that I'm going to kind of layer somehow. We'll see how this goes. That's my plan. All right, now we're going to use, probably should be using Stays On, which I don't use very often. In fact, I have a brand new one here and I haven't even opened it, so let's open it. I think they recommend Stays On when you do watercoloring. Oh gosh, okay, let's open this. There we go. Like I said, I haven't used Stays On in such a long time. So it comes, this is solvent, this is a permanent ink. So that's always, don't discard this plastic piece, otherwise it'll dry out. I hope this is going to be big enough. Oh, it's just going to be big enough. Okay, so let's ink up this. Now, when you ink up with Stays On, this is permanent, so it will actually, unless you use Stays On cleaner, it will permanently mark your stamps. Okay, I'm going to just stamp on here just to see how it looks. Oh, isn't that pretty? I think it's very pretty. Hey, Mary. Yeah, it's just got a really nice scene. I've forgotten how. I kind of like the smell of Stays On. I don't know why. That's probably weird to say. Okay, let's see if I can get this straight. Press down so I get it. There we go. Oh, that's really pretty, and it fit perfectly. How is my hand doing? Well, my hand it's still there. It's in a splint. It's not a cast. It's in a splint. So I've been, I can take the bandage off and take the splint off if I need to. It still hurts. So I'm waiting. I have to wait until Wednesday to have another x-ray. And unfortunately, they're talking pins. So we'll see what happens. I'm thinking positive thoughts so that I don't have to have that. Now, I pulled out a bunch of watercolor pencils. So I've got Garden Green, Old Olive. I don't know where all my watercolor pencils are because I don't think I've got them all here, but I've got a selection of greens. I've got Balmy Blue. I thought I'd put some It does smell like almonds. That's what it is, Wendy. Yes. Balmy blue for some sky. And then I've got two colors. I've got, oh, that's crushed curry. We don't want that. I thought that was soft suede. Early espresso for the path we use. Now, when you do watercolor pencils, you have two choices. You have the choice of either using a water painter, or you can use a blender brush. Now, I prefer blender brushes. I find I get much better control, and I can also pick up the color. Once you start to get the watercolor paper wet, I find that it's hard to actually color on it. So I like to be able to take my pencil, this is glycerin, and then just pick up color from my pencil itself. So you'll see me do that. So let's start with some of the green. So I'm going to start, I think this is Pear Pizzazz. Like I said, I'm just going to take and color. So when I do this, I just kind of take and color over. And if you want it to be a really, bold color, then you want to press harder and get more of the color on it. All right, so I'm going to kind of go in with a couple of colors here, and then I'll go in and blend. Now, I think everybody has kind of their own preference of how to do this, but you can see I'm not really, fussed about what it looks like. I'm just going to kind of go in and add some color. And then I'm going to take my blender brush. You want to kind of wipe it until no color comes off of it. Oh, Darlene, 8 pins and a plate in your right wrist. Okay, well, that's good. I was wondering if they were going to put pins in temporarily. It's only a small break. So everything I read said, they put pins in, and they could even be kind of protruding outside of the skin, and they were temporary. So yes, I don't know what they're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to take my blender brush. Now, I have had these blender brushes forever, and they don't dry out. It's just glycerin, so they seem to work quite well. So I'm just kind of take and blend. And you can see it definitely smooths out the color. So I've gone from, kind of just splotchy color, just where I laid down some color there, to actually looking like you've gone in and colored it. There, so I've got my kind of grass. Now, what other color do I have? Let's put some more. Let's see if I can put some more garden green. So here's where I'm gonna take, and I'm gonna just take my pencil, and I'm gonna pick up some color off of the pencil and just kind of put it in spots where I want a little bit of more color. Oh yeah, I really like that. You may not be able to see, probably can't see that, but it's got, this is a richer tone. So let's just adding some just another shade of green in. There we go. Okay, let's see what I can do. All right, so now let me take, I think I'm going to use garden green on the trees. Again, I'm just kind of coloring, and I'll go in and smooth it. Wipe your blender brush until the color doesn't come out, and then you can just kind of smooth over the color and spread it. You're actually spreading the pencil or the watercolor crayon around. Okay, and yeah, Darlene, and I don't actually know. He just kind of mentioned it when I was in there, so we're going to see what they say next week when I go. All right, so this is balmy blue, so we're just going to put some sky in. And then while I've got, let's see, we've got the early espresso, so I'm just going to lay light some of the early espresso down the path. And then I'm going to go over quite hard, heavy. I'm pressing heavy onto the fence posts. Just to, there we go. Now let's take some of the green off, make sure. So we'll just kind of smooth this out. I'm not really worried about the fence post. I've almost just kind of colored. There we go. And even some of the brown. There we go. Okay, so now let's take, so you can maybe see, so the brown on the, hey Betty. So the brown on the fence is quite dark compared to the really soft brown that I've got going on the pathway. Just kind of want that to look like just a little bit of pathway. And then I'm going to make sure I've cleaned this off. What you do, I said, just clean this off until you don't see color anymore. And then I'm just going to go in and take some of this blue and spread it around. There. Isn't that a pretty scene? I think that's very pretty. And not too much work. You don't have to really fuss too much. You can just add some color. If you wanted to use Stampin' Blends, I'm sure it would look really pretty too. Okay, so now let's bring in our other pieces. And I realized I've forgotten a piece of white for the inside of the card. I'll have to do that later. Okay, so again, this is 5.5 by 8.5. And I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. And fold into the raised line of the mountain. Okay. Now, again, this is the DSP from, I think it's Adventurous Journey. So we're just going to take and adhere. Oof, my glue is almost empty. So just a peekaboo. So this is just, this is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then the Mossy Meadow behind it is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So just a little bit extra. I'm going to wait. Let's see. I've used this the other day. This is the Pool Party from the Rain or Shine. So it's Pool Party Grow Grain. So I'm just going to take, and let's see. I like the combination of Pool Party and Garden and Mossy Meadow. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm thinking. So the ribbon get lost if I do that. How do we want to do this? I don't like that. Okay, in the middle. I'm going to do it in the middle. We'll see. Okay. I like Stampin' Seal for when I put ribbon around because I think it holds better than glue. Maybe it's just me being a little impatient and when I'm doing it, but I think it holds better than the glue. So for ribbon, there's lots of things I use glue for, of course, but the Stampin' Seal adhesive, definitely when I've got some ribbon. Okay, there we go. Now, okay, now I pulled out this Happy Labels. In the middle looks best. Good. Happy Labels stamp. So it's all sentiments. It's a bundle with this Happy Labels take a pick punch, which gives you 2 choices of scallops. Kind of one that looks like, let's do it this way. Probably hard to see. One that looks kind of like a ticket. Maybe you can see it there. And one that's just a scallop across, and it multiple sizes. So I went ahead and cut out a piece of watercolor paper. This is 7/8 of an inch wide. It's way too long. I'm going to cut it, but I needed it longer to be able to go into the punch. And then this is Mossy Meadow, and this is 1 inch. So my thought is I'm going to make a thank you card. And again, another stamp set that I haven't used. So we're going to use the thank you. And I'll try Stays On again. Just because I think sometimes the Stays On gives you a really nice bold. Okay, I'm going to do it that way. I'm going to put this, I'm going to end up cutting this so that it's even with the edge. So we'll stamp this. Yes, it definitely goes bold. We'll stamp this close to the scalloped. See if I can do this. Oof, there we go. Yeah. So I don't know if so this is the scalloped edge. If you can see, that's the one scallop, and then the other one is kind of more like a ticket. So there it is. Oh, my glue went on a walkabout. There we go. Okay, so we will just take that. So again, this is just a little bit wider. So 7/8 for the mossy meadow, and 1 inch for the, or 7/8 for the watercolor and 1 inch for the mossy meadow. Okay, so let me change this. This is what I had in my mind. Okay, yep, that's what we're gonna do. So I'm just gonna take and trim this using my trimmer so that I get it half decently straight. Sometimes if I use my snips, I don't get it very straight. Oopsie. There we go. Okay. And let's take this. So I'm just kind of putting it on, not at a real sharp angle, hopefully. And then this, could use dimensionals if you want. I'm just going to use the glue. Yeah, I like the Mossy Meadow and Pool Party. It's the first time I've used it, at least for a very long time. Okay, and then we'll put this one on with dimensionals. Stagger my dimensionals because this is quite wide, so I don't want it to kind of wobble. And make that line up with the edge of the Mossy Meadow. And then the last thing, now this seems a weird combination, but these are the glossy dot assortments, and they come in Pool Party. So I thought I would use the Pool Party ones. I was looking for something in Pool Party, so let's put some Pool Party and just brighten this up. They come in 3 sizes. Oops, where'd that last one go to? There. I quite like that card. Now I will have to finish it later. Yeah, Wendy, I actually wasn't so sure about this color combination, but when I saw this paper, and it actually might be mint macaron in this paper, but it goes well with Pool Party, I think. So that was my color. That was my thought process when I was pulling out trying to find designer series paper. There we go. So I will finish the inside because I didn't grab a piece of basic white for the inside. So I'll finish it with a stamp later on. I got a tickle in my throat. All right. Where are we? There we are. I'm going to cough. Excuse me. So there we go. Hopefully, I don't know if you play with watercolor pencils, but pull them out because this in the country is a perfect stamp set for them. And we have a bunch of ones that you can easily color. If you're like me, you always go to your Stampin' Blends to do coloring, but pull out your watercolor pencils and do some coloring. You can do all sorts of things, and you can even just use, I would use shimmery white cardstock, but you can use basic white cardstock. Just to make sure, you definitely want to be using blender pens if you're using either shimmery white or or white, and you don't want to be doing a lot of coloring with them, because the more liquid, whether it's glycerin or water, you put onto basic white or shimmery white, you can get pilling on your paper. So you don't want to be doing a lot of coloring with it. But so if you're going to do a lot of coloring like I did tonight, you definitely want to be using watercolor, the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. But all sorts of things that you can color with your watercolor. I'm going to have to go digging because I know I have other colors hanging around. So, all right, everybody, thanks for joining me. Now I'll be live again on Saturday at 11 and then Sunday at 12 noon. So hopefully you can join me for one or both of those times. Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening. Happy stamping. Bye.